Hi, YouTube Brando here. Today I wanted to test out this supposed waterproof little fire kit I had put together. It's going to be more water resistant than it is waterproof. I'm thinking when I sink it, it may get a little bit of water in it. But the first test we wanted to do was just a float test. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a knife in here that's as heavy as the contents that I carry in here, which if you've seen the video, it's not a real heavy case, not a real heavy kit. It was made to be light so it could go in my boat. So it does float. And I kind of knew it would float just because of how light I keep it and how light I keep the contents in it. But the real test is going to be the waterproof test. Now I do know I'm going to have to wrap this with a little bit of tape on it to make it completely waterproof. But if it just got rained on or got sprayed on because the weather was bad or whatever, then I'm pretty sure that it would at least be water resistant. It may not be waterproof. And actually, you can see some water down in there now from previous testing. So I kind of knew it wasn't going to be completely waterproof, so I'm definitely going to have to put a little bit of tape on this, which in that case you could pretty much do it with anything. Most people would use duct tape. I'm going to use electrical tape because electrical tape kind of repels water a little bit better than duct tape. Not that duct tape doesn't. I just think if you're trying to waterproof something, that kind of a rubber, more of a rubber content would work better. And so I'm thinking electrical tape. And I use electrical tape in all my kits anyway, so why not? I've said it before on other videos, I prefer electrical tape over duct tape any day. And the bottom of this seems to be pretty dry. Looks like I'm not going to have to wipe it out at all. Wipe the outside down a little bit. And all this is an old welding tube, welding rod case. Cut this. This is the bottom. I cut it a little bit shorter. And I am going to wrap this orange. I just painted it with a paint marker so it would work when I was bringing it out. But eventually I'll just wrap it in some kind of reflective tape up to right here, because the rest needs to slide freely inside this. So let me grab some dry paper towels. What we'll do is we'll shove one in the bottom. And then I'm going to stuff this thing with some heavy objects. We'll go with the ones we used on the previous test. Get those down in there, try to weigh this thing down a little bit, because what happens is when it sinks to one end, because all the heavy stuff, of course, is going to go, to the lowest point. So got some nail clippers. We'll just put a bunch of metal stuff in here. Hope it weighs it down enough to get it where I want it. Running out of stuff in my drawer here. We'll throw some pennies in there, some coins. Put that down in there. I don't have nothing right offhand. So we'll just try to get it as even as we can. Shove it down in there and see what happens. Again, I am going to put a couple wraps of electrical tape on it because that's the way I carry it in my boat. And I have a piece of paracord on here so I can just clip this to something on my boat. And I guess that wouldn't be good if the boat went down, then it's not going to float up. But I guess whenever I get to where I'm going, I can loosen it and put it up on the dashboard of the boat or whatever. And I think I did call this waterproof on my first video, and I know now that it's not completely waterproof. There wasn't a whole bunch of water in there when I did the first test, and I've never done it with the tape, by the way. I've only done the test just filling it up with heavy stuff and dunking it in the water. Alright, so I got down there even enough, and I guess we'll leave it down there for, I don't know, I don't have my phone on me. Guess I can show you clock. It's 3:22. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's 3:22, so I don't know, we'll leave it in there for 3 or 4 minutes. See what happens, and we'll be back. Alright, so again, I'm not sure if it's really picking it up, but clock says 3:27 now. So it's been under for 5 minutes. And again, this thing should never fully submerge itself. With what I have in it, it should easily float. I've weighed out the contents of what's in it, and I weighed out another item and made sure it weighed a little bit more than what the contents is, and sat it in there and it floated. I just wanted to make sure I didn't ruin anything in case it didn't float, because I do know that it will get water in it. Let's pull it out. Try to get as much water in there as we can, because I am working on my desk. Not that this desk hasn't been beat on. I've made knives on this desk before, so it's already had quite enough abuse in its life. Try to just dry off everything a little bit before I open it. Make sure there's no cross-contamination. Water from the outside getting on the inside. And I only put a couple wraps of the tape on there so you could carry some extra tape in there and retape it if you had to use something out of it. Oh, ruined my paint job. It's a $high paint job right there. That's a 99-cent paint marker. Uh-oh. So yeah, definitely gets water in it. Check the contents. Definitely wet all the way through it, so that was a complete fail of the waterproof theory. I just figured because of how much suction was on this thing that it would stay nice and dry, and you can see it is not dry at all. There's water all out through it. It's on all the stuff I put in there, well, most of it. And both rags were, completely soaked on one side. I guess not soaked, but wet. So that was a fail on the waterproof theory. Definitely not waterproof. You hear that suction, and I'm thinking it's because of this coarse material right here more than anything. you know, if water can find a way, it's gonna find a way, and I'm thinking it, you know, works itself up through and then fills up the lid more than anything. As you can see, there's plenty of water down in there, and I guess you can't see down in there. It's not bone dry, but it's not completely soaked like the cap is. So I'm thinking it's that coarse material. Has something to do with it. So it's definitely a water resistant kit though. And it does float, you know, so if I'm on the boat and for some reason boat goes down, maybe this will float up and I'll be able to reach it. And I keep a small handheld flare in it as well, boat flares, some fire starting stuff, a compass, I forget what the content is. I'll probably eventually do a final video on this and show all the contents and label it water resistant and not waterproof, because it's definitely not waterproof. Maybe if I put more tape on it, but then, you know, after you open it, you have to reseal it, and you got to be able to carry that content to redo it, you know, put your tape back on it. So I don't know. We'll have to try something else with it, because I do want it completely waterproof eventually. If it's going on a boat, it needs to be waterproof. That's just my school of thought anyway. So that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, YouTube.